Welcome to reality. You're now on the Code of Mind channel. You can plan a celebration with someone you love, dream about a vacation, book the tickets. Imagine how you will celebrate your birthday surrounded by family. And then someone appears. Not a god, not the law. Just a person slightly above you in the hierarchy. And suddenly you say, I don't know if my boss will let me. You call him your boss. But inside your mind the word is different. Owner. Because without him, you can't. You're an adult. You can leave. You can live wherever you want. You can say no. But you don't. Because somewhere deep inside a program is running. I belong. I'm under control. I depend on someone. And so you live as if your time doesn't belong to you. When the landlord comes, you don't feel relaxed. You feel tense. You wait for what he will say, as if he decides whether you stay in your own home or not. A home you pay for becomes a place of anxiety. You say, my landlord. But notice how often you live as if you actually have an owner. This is not a metaphor. This is not a joke. This is a state we were programmed into since childhood. Wait for permission. Be obedient. Live under someone else's conditions. You don't actually search for freedom. You search for boundaries. You want not a partner, but a controller. Someone who tells you exactly where the line is, where you're allowed to go, and where you're not. This isn't just a social structure. It's a program of dependence. You think you want freedom, but that's not entirely true. What most people want is the illusion of choice, a safe little playground with invisible walls. Because real freedom means making your own decisions. And that means living with the consequences, which means there is no one left to blame when something goes wrong. That's why most people choose control instead of freedom. Living under someone's authority, under someone's opinion, under someone's permission. It feels easier, safer, more familiar, and it doesn't matter where you are, in an office, in a marriage, in a rented apartment, even running your own business. You can still live your life waiting for someone's approval, as if you're 12 years old and forgot to ask your parents for permission. Instead of asking, what do I want? You ask, am I allowed? And when someone finally says, do whatever you want, no one is controlling you. You freeze. Because that is the most terrifying moment. When no one forbids you, when there is no overseer, no owner, no one to carry the blame if things fall apart. You wanted freedom, but now you have it, and you don't know what to do with it. Because freedom is not comfort, freedom is a challenge. It's you alone with yourself. No script, no rehearsals, no assigned role, just you, and a reality that now depends on your decisions. That's why people stay under someone's authority even when they've grown up, even when they pay their own bills, even when they know how to live. It's simply easier to be watched than to claim the right to live your own life. You weren't born with this program. You were taught it. From childhood you heard the same phrases. Don't do that, your father will get angry. Don't argue with the teacher. Ask an adult first. Who allowed you to do that? You heard these things thousands of times, and every time the child inside you learned something. If you decide something yourself, it's wrong. If you obey, you're good. You didn't need to be yourself. You needed to be convenient. You grew up believing your value was in obedience, in approval, in fitting in. You learned how to please others, not how to feel what you want. You didn't choose your clothes. You wore what was normal. You didn't choose where to go. You followed your parents. You didn't choose who to become. You chose what was acceptable. And even when you became an adult, you kept waiting for instructions. Your boss became your new parent. Your partner became your new controller. The law became your new punishment. You continue living inside a system of approval, a system that taught you how to exist, a system where doing what you want is dangerous, where thinking independently is rebellious, where being yourself is strange. You are no longer just a person. You are a processed product of the system, obedient, predictable, manageable. Deep inside you, a firmware was installed. To live your own way means risking punishment. And even if outside you look like an adult, inside lives a child waiting to ask, is this allowed? Will I get in trouble? Is this really okay? The moment you stand up straight, the reactions begin immediately. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're smarter than everyone? Who gave you permission to behave like that? Be careful. You'll regret it. But you did nothing wrong. You simply stopped being obedient. And that alone is enough for society to attack you. Because your freedom threatens their stable world of submission. You become a mirror, and in that mirror they see their own chains. And nobody wants to see their own lack of freedom. So they place labels on you. Arrogant, selfish, irresponsible, show off. It's easier to crush the one who escaped. Easier to pretend you're the abnormal one. Because if you can be free, that means they could have been free too. And that realization hurts. It destroys the comfort zone they built. Their cage. The cage they started calling home. They will try to dim your light. They will shame you. They will try to pull you back. Through words. Through accusations. Through rejection. But understand something important. This is not about you. It's about their pain, their fear, their dependence, their unlived life. How many times did you take a step forward and people turned away from you? How many times did you follow your own path and lost friends? How many times did you start something new and nobody supported you? Not because you were wrong, but because you broke the pattern, and every step you take is a challenge to the entire system. Here's the paradox. You can hate control, dream about freedom. Imagine the moment you quit your job, leave everything behind, and start living by your own rules. But the moment real doors open in front of you, you freeze. Why? Because freedom is terrifying. Freedom means responsibility. It means you are the center. You are the source. You decide. You answer for your choices. And if something goes wrong, there is no one left to blame. But we are not used to that. We are used to someone who knows better. Someone who tells us when to wake up, what our value is, what we are allowed to do, and what we are not. You grew up in a system where every step had to be approved. Grades, schedules, reports, rules. First your parents, then teachers, then bosses. No one raised you to rely on yourself. You were trained to follow a chain of command. And now, when there is no owner standing next to you, you feel anxious. You feel like there is nothing inside you to lean on. You don't know what you want. You don't know what is right. You don't know what to do when no one is telling you what to do. And that is how false supports appear. You begin searching for a new owner. A strong man, a strict woman. You cling to any system that promises control, just to feel that someone is in charge again. But the truth is simple. You will never discover who you are until you break that cycle. Until you sit in silence with yourself and ask, who am I if no one is commanding me? What do I want? Without approval, without instructions, without fear. That is where the real path begins. Have you noticed something strange? The moment you start asking questions, people quietly begin to push you away. You disagree with your boss. Now you're difficult. You refuse to be like everyone else. People avoid you. You start saying uncomfortable truths. Suddenly you look crazy. The system does not like it when you wake up. Because the moment you begin thinking, you become unpredictable. And an unpredictable human is dangerous to the matrix. The system operates on a simple rule. Do as you're told. Don't think too deeply. Don't ask questions. And most importantly, never step outside the boundaries. Why? Because if you begin living consciously, others will start watching you. They will start thinking. And if enough people do that, the entire structure collapses. So you must be corrected, mocked, shamed, isolated, devalued, filled with guilt. Who do you think you are? You think you're special? And suddenly you face a choice. Either remain yourself and walk against the wind, or become convenient again. Wear the muzzle. You believed everything you feel belongs to you, but maybe you are simply afraid to be yourself, because you were punished for it once before. You can quit your job, move to another country, end relationships, delete all social media. But wherever you go, you take yourself with you, and inside you sits the strictest supervisor of all. He whispers, "You can't allow yourself that. That's too much. You haven't earned it yet. You didn't work hard enough. What if people think you've become arrogant?" That voice speaks even when no one is around. It is not your boss, not your parents, not your partner, not your teachers. It is the inner owner you allowed into your mind, and now he controls every decision you make. You look like an adult, but before doing anything, you still ask permission from that internal censor, as if he gives you points for good behavior. You don't rest until you deserve it. You don't allow yourself joy without suffering first. You believe you must struggle before you earn the right to be happy. But who said life must work that way? Who convinced you that your life is an endless exam? You want freedom, yet you keep yourself on a leash. And the most paradoxical thing is this: you are afraid to give yourself freedom, because you have no idea what it means to live without an owner. That inner owner didn't appear randomly. He is a collective image, built from phrases, looks, punishments, judgments, from words like don't, behave, be like everyone else, and the most powerful one of all, what will people say? Every time you abandoned yourself to stay convenient and that voice grew stronger, every time you chose silence instead of truth, his authority increased. Every time you thought, if I do this, people won't accept me, he climbed higher on his throne. That voice is not a single person. It is an entire operating system: family, school, work culture, social expectations, language, news, morality, fear. All of it merged together into one figure, and we called it conscience. But conscience is not slavery, and it is definitely not the fear of being different. The next time you hear yourself say, "I can't do that because..." Stop. Ask yourself one simple question: who inside me is speaking right now? And why am I still listening? That voice is not you. It is a copy of someone else's opinion that you accepted as your own. So now you live inside an adult body, but inside you is still a student asking permission to be yourself. It's time to change that. Freedom begins with a very simple sentence: I will no longer ask whether I'm allowed to live the life I want. This is not a protest, not rebellion. It is awareness. You are not required to be convenient. You are not required to explain why you chose not to answer a call, why you don't want to visit, why you refuse to fulfill someone else's expectations. You have the right to say no without guilt. You have the right to leave without explaining why you refuse to endure something anymore. You have the right to start over without permission, without a script. You are not an object, not a slave, not someone's project. But as long as you keep waiting for permission, you remain in a cage, even if that cage has no bars. The paradox is that many people prefer suffering, as long as they appear good in the eyes of others. So ask yourself honestly, what is more valuable, the approval of the crowd or your own freedom? Why am I still living someone else's script? Why is it easier for me to obey than to express myself? Whose disappointment am I more afraid of, theirs or my own? That is the collar around your neck. And to remove it, and you don't need to fight, you simply need to stop believing it was always meant to stay there. Since childhood, we were told the same story. You are small. You are weak. You are not ready. Someone else will tell you when to wake up, what to study, who to become, then how to live, how much to earn, what success looks like, even how to die with dignity. This script has been held for centuries, and it always contains the same rule. There is always someone in charge, and it is never you. You are the subordinate, the pawn, the carrier of duties. You are not the player. You are the piece on the board, moved around, used, summoned when necessary. Your voice is never heard because you stopped listening to it long ago. But the moment you realize something powerful, this entire reality is built on rules someone invented, and you are not required to accept them, not required to agree, not required to repeat them. You can step outside the game, not by escaping life, but by remembering something fundamental. You are the creator. You are not meant to live inside someone else's script. You can write your own. Yes, it will feel terrifying at first. You will feel like you are breaking sacred laws. You will expect punishment. You will think no one will help you. That is the childhood programming speaking. You are still waiting for someone to approve your actions. Your father, your mother, your teacher, your boss, your owner. But when you become quiet and honest with yourself, you will hear a voice that has been silent for years. Your own. It was always there, without masks, without commands, without fear. And that voice is not a frightened subordinate. It is a creator, the one who looks at reality and reshapes it, the one who creates meaning, the one who gives themselves permission to exist. You want to know where to begin? Stop waiting for orders. Lift your eyes, take a step, and say to yourself, from now on, I am in charge. This is not a challenge to the system. This is simply returning to yourself. And from that moment, everything changes. Because the matrix is no longer controlling you. Now, you are looking directly into its eyes. Thank you for being with me on this channel. I wish you the best possible branch of reality. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take care.